Good afternoon, my name is Mr Callander. I'm currently head of Year 7. I'm also head of Food Nutrition. When you start in September, you'll be doing a massive variety of dishes in Year 7. Things like chocolate truffles, fruit pie, risotto, apple crumble and basic fruit salad for knife skills. But today is all about Christmas, and today we're going to make a very festive mince pies. Okay, the recipe for the mince pies is down below. As you can see, there is two types of pastry on there, shortcrust pastry or pate sucree. I'm going to show you today how to make the pate sucree. I much prefer pate sucree, especially at Christmas, because it's a sweet pastry. And for me, at Christmas, sweets is the way forward. But if you prefer shortcrust pastry, obviously you can make that instead. All pastry is half fat to flour. As you'll see by the shortcrust pastry recipe, it is butter and lard plus the flour. So it's 200 grams of the flour plus the 50 grams of the butter and the lard. But I'm making a pate sucree today, which is 250 grams of flour with 125 grams of butter being the fat, so the half fat to flour. First and foremost, you sieve the flour into the bowl, and then you break up the butter into little pieces. Reason being, you have to rub it into the flour. So you rub it in with your fingertips. The reason you do that is because it's your coldest part of your hand. So if you rub it in with the base of your hand, you're melting the butter beforehand, and then you end up with a pastry before you add any liquid. So you rub it in until it's nice and sandy. Sandy is similar to Living St Anne's sand, some nice powdery sand. Okay, so it's nice and sandy like that. If your butter's a bit too hard, the heat of your hand will melt it a little bit beforehand, but you want to make sure it's chilled the butter, so you end up with a nice crisp pastry. So you keep rubbing it in, keep moving the ball around as you're doing it, so you make sure that the actual butter is rubbing into all of the flour, not just the top base of the flour. So you keep moving the ball all the time. This will take a couple of minutes to do this. In year 7, 8 and 9, you only make two types of pastry. That's your pate sucree like you're making today, and also the shortcrust pastry for fruit pie. There's other types of pastry you make in year 10 and 11. You make choux pastry in year 10, this is for things like profiteroles and chocolate eclairs, and you make puff pastry in year 11, so we make a sausage roll. We can't make puff pastry in year 7, 8 and 9 because we don't have the time to make it. It takes about a couple of hours to make it properly. So that's why we only make the basic pastry in year 7 and 8. But it gets you ready with the skills when you get to Key Stage 4, which is year 10, 11, if you choose to pick food and nutrition, where at least you've made a couple of pastries beforehand. It's the same as other things as well. In year 7, we also, which I didn't mention before, you make scone-based pizza, which is a sweet pizza dough, which is a scone base. In year 8, you make bread rolls, and in year 9, you make actual pizza. And in year 10, you make Chelsea buns, which is enriched bread dough. So you can see there's a development from each year where the skills get harder and harder and harder as you move on through the actual curriculum in food nutrition. So you keep rubbing it in until it's nice and sandy. Okay. The next ingredient here is where normally you think of caster sugar goes into a pastry or into baking. It's now icing sugar, so it gives it very much the sweetness as well. So it gives it the extra sweet. And as I said before, it is Christmas, so you want sweetness. Okay. Everyone loves sweet things at Christmas time. My year 7's tomorrow. I'm making the chocolate truffles as their Christmas dish. And my year 10s today made chocolate log. And then next week I've got mince pies nearly every day of the week. And we've got chocolate log going on a couple of times. And after school tomorrow night there's staff baking, and I'm making Christmas shortbread as well as chocolate log. So everyone's doing all sweet things at the moment. Not much savoury going on, unfortunately. So you want it nice and sandy, just like that. Don't matter a few lumps of butter in there, but not loads of it. Just take your time and make sure it's all rubbed in, so you've got nice and sandy consistency. If you have too much butter in there and too lumps of butter, you end up being very greasy pastry, and you really do not want that. Okay, you then just literally tip your icing sugar in there, and then give it a just quick mix round. You don't have to rub it in, and then you add the egg yolk. Okay, so obviously 2 parts of an egg white and egg yolk. The egg white I will be keeping because I'm going to convert it into meringue later. Okay, because I do like a meringue with my egg whites. Okay, so make sure you have a bowl. You don't have to beat the egg yolks beforehand, and you need 3 egg yolks should be enough. Okay, but maybe have 4 or 5 in just in case you need more. It depends on the size of your eggs. It's obviously different size eggs, you see. So these are medium. So if you use large, you might only need 2. But if they're small, you may need 4. So just crack your egg into there, and then over the actual bowl you're not using, so not the one with the flour in, you just use your fingers to separate the eggs, just like that, okay, to catch all the egg whites. I don't use shell, some people use shell, but you end up getting shell inside it. Just use your hands and it will come through the gap of your fingers, and then you can put the egg yolks in there, you see. What you don't want, especially if you're going to make meringue, maybe you're going to make a little baked Alaska or pavlova or eat a mess, that you want to make sure there's no yolk mixed in with the actual white. So you can see there, it's just pure yolk, all the white's in there, no yolk at all, so you'll be able to make a nice meringue. It doesn't matter a bit of white in there, but you don't want any yolk in there. I'm going to start off with the 3 eggs and see how it comes together. With pâte sucrée, it's the most delicate pastry, you see. That's why it's really nice with mince pies, because of the flavour. Okay, so just wash my hands very quickly, sorry. So you have to make sure that you don't panic when it doesn't seem to roll very well, because it is like shortbread, to be quite honest. People call it shortbread, this as well. It's actually called pâte sucrée. So you've got the egg yolks in there, and you don't need to use a spoon because it all sticks to there. You need to get your hands in there and get it all mixed around. Just take your time, and once the egg yolks are incorporated into the flour and the icing sugar and the butter or margarine, you then try and get it into a ball, and that's when you'll be able to realise if it's needing more egg or not at all. So you think, no, I might need more, but then you try and get it into a ball, and you really just keep going it round, get it off your hands. You don't need to use a spoon or anything like that, because all the ingredients stick to that, and you just try and get it into an actual pastry. The difference between pastry and dough is, with dough, you overhandle it. So once you've made the dough, you knead it for like 15-20 minutes, in my view, to stretch the gluten to make sure it rolls out. With pastry, once you've made it, you never ever overhandle it. With shortcrust pastry, if you're making shortcrust, by the way, you need to wrap it in cling film, put it in the fridge for about 20 minutes before you make it into the actual mince pies. You don't need to do that with pâte sucrée. So you keep doing that, and you think, no, it's not coming together. It will do, and you can see it's starting to come together now. It's just, you get your muscles going here until you get into a really nice pastry. And you keep doing that until it all comes together. So there we go, it's almost done now. There we go. So now, as simple as that. Now then, it's very hard to roll out pâte sucrée, okay, because I've said it's very, very delicate pastry. So you just get it into a ball like that, and then don't forget, it's an actual pie, so you need a lid as well as a base. And I'll show you what I'm going to use in a second, because some people like the base of a mince pie, so the lid of a mince pie, to completely cover the top. But I like to be able to see the mincemeat coming through the actual pie, so I use a smaller top, like a smaller lid, the actual base. So you can see there now, I've got it's all come together now. Okay, so I use 3 egg yolks, and that's perfect as you want it. Okay, right then. I can see I've got a bit of flour on your table. All right, that's just to stop it sticking on the table, not because I made a mess. I actually put that there at the start. Okay, so if you've only got flour measured out for this, a bit of the flour you got at the start, put on your table. Okay, and I do have a rolling pin because I like to roll little bits. But first and foremost, you need to get a muffin tin. Okay, I prefer the shallow ones because if it's too deep, because it's pâte sucrée, it's quite hard to get the pastry out because it's so delicate, like shortbread. So I've got a bit of margarine, and just grease each one, okay, which I've already done. All right, just with a bit of kitchen paper or kitchen roll at home. Then it stops it sticking as well. Okay, so you take a little bit out at a time because you can't roll it all out. Soften in your hands again. Okay, roll the rolling pin into the flour so it stops it sticking on the flour as well, and just roll a little bit out, just like this. You want it about, I'll say it's about ½ centimetre thickness, because you want to be able to taste the mincemeat more than the pastry, to be honest, but you don't want it to rip either. And then you get a cutter which is about the same size as the actual muffin tin, okay? But don't worry if you haven't got any at home, because you can put it in there, you can push it out, which I'll show you in a minute. So you literally cut it, shake it, and that loosens it a lot, and then you literally push it into your tin, okay? Delicately. You can see you have to be very delicate with it because it's very, very, very delicate pastry, okay? And then you get your mincemeat. There's many different types of mincemeat. The majority of them taste some form of alcohol, but not enough to really, be too bad. Okay, like this one I've got here is Brandy infused mincemeat. It's a very nice one actually from Sainsbury's, pecan and walnut flavoured mincemeat. Absolutely fantastic. So that's from Sainsbury's, really nice. So you put a little bit of the mincemeat into the base, and you don't want it overfilling because otherwise the mincemeat will stick to the side and you won't be able to get it out of the tin. So don't put loads in. People put a lot in and it ends up not coming out of the tin. Okay, so then I've got a little star cutter. So you start smaller than the top. So once again, you do it, shake it, gently place it on top. Okay, right, so we want to just like that. Alright? In this bowl here, I've got 1 egg that I've beaten. It's called egg wash, and that gives it the golden brown colour. It's called aesthetically pleasing, we call it in food and nutrition. So it looks really nice when it comes out of the oven. Okay, so you literally just, if you've got a pastry brush, that's fine, but I was using a fork here, and you just brush it a little bit over the top, and then a sprinkle of golden cast sugar. If you don't golden, just use normal, that's fine. And once again, that gives it a nice caramelisation when it comes out of the oven. Okay, right. And then, once you've done all 12, it goes in the oven for only about 10 to 12 minutes, that's all, until they're golden brown. And then I'll put them in the oven. Okay, they've now been cooking for about 10 minutes, so they should be ready by now. So I'll just take them out of the oven. Yeah, they're looking good to me. So you're looking for a golden brown consistency, yeah? And it should be slightly caramelised without being burnt. So you want it just about that. Okay, so you can see the mincemeat is bubbling through the sides. And you can see it's not stuck to the edges like that because I haven't put too much on. Apart from that one, for some reason I put too much in that one, so you can see that one's actually stuck to the side, okay? And then if you have got a palette knife, that'd be fantastic. So you gently, because it's Pâte Sucrée, go around the edge of it, gently, because obviously you can see it all comes out. Okay? And you just do that with all of them. You see it should come out, it shows how well I've been greasing my tin. Thankfully they've all come out so far. Let's do 3 of them, okay? And you can put a bit of ice sugar if you want to give it a real festive spirit. And that is basically the how to make mince pies. So I hope that you all enjoyed that, and I hope you all make mince pies. And if you can do me a favour, I'd really appreciate this. If you could send me the actual picture of mince pies to the address below, and then I'd love to see them. And I cannot wait to see you all in September. Now take care, have a wonderful Christmas, and see you soon. Goodbye.